Major League Baseball is in full gear as the playoffs are starting to heat up a little bit. Hockey is underway, and you know I got a whole lot to say about the New York Football Jets and everything going on with them right about now. It's Wednesday night. It's 10 p.m. We're going live right now. Welcome everybody into New York Sports Wicker Media. I'm Watts UK99, and it is good to be back after having to take a week off because I basically had no voice and I coughed up a lung and a half last week. Yeah, it was so bad I had to take 3.5 days off from work last week. I was not doing very well. I could have gone on and spoken for a few minutes, but my voice would have been gone after about a half an hour. So again, I apologize for not being able to do the live show last Wednesday. But we are here. We are happy to be back, and I'm so glad that everybody is here to join me for this show. Feel free to leave a comment down there in the section. Let me know that you're here. I want to know who's taking time on a hump day evening to join me and who's watching retroactively, I guess. So we're going to get into some Jets. I got a whole lot of things to talk about with the Jets. But before that, we're going to do a little bit of 3 and out. Oh, and at the end of the show, just to make up for last week, I'm going to do y'all a little bit of a solid. We're not going to do a Jets trivia question. We're going to do 2 Jets trivia questions at the end of the show tonight. All right. I see David D is here. Good evening to you as well, my friend. Thank you so much for coming by today. All right. Let's get into a little bit of 3 and out. And I'm going to start with the world of Major League Baseball. And I want to give some props right now to Mets shortstop Francisco Lindor. So Lindor, hey, John Nolte's here too. Want to say a quick hello to him. Definitely one of the most loyal guys out there. Man, I appreciate you stopping by. Yep, feeling good. The cough's just about gone after drinking hot tea for 7 or 8 days straight. And I'll tell you what, that Costco chicken soup, it's good. It's really, really good, especially when I add a little Frank's hot sauce in there. But yeah, I went through about 3 or 4 cans of soup and one of those big containers, like a gallon-sized container of Costco rotisserie chicken soup. So Francisco Lindor, so he just had an operation this week to remove a bone spur from his elbow. Here's the thing, in his right elbow, he started feeling the effects of this bone spur during spring training, and he was really hurt all year long, but he never wanted to make it public. He didn't want anybody feeling sorry for himself. He never wanted to come out of the lineup. And despite as crappy a year as it was for the New York Mets, Francisco Lindor still played 160 games, batted .254, 31 home runs, 98 RBIs, scored 108 runs, stole 31 bases. He was the first Met to have a 30-30 season since David Wright back in 2007. But also major credit because he played very, very good defense as well. His range was there. His throwing arm did not seem to be quite the same. Now we know why. But I just want to give a little bit of credit to him. There's a lot of Mets fans, I think, who still are not willing to embrace Lindor considering the contract, considering the fact that they traded for him as well. But the truth is he really does deserve a heck of a lot of credit. And I don't care if it was in an up year, a down year, the guy still produced. So I want to give Lindor some credit. John Nolte says, sure you didn't help your voice doing your fireman Ed at your Jets club. Y'all can check that out after the show. On the YouTube, under the short videos, I posted, we're able to post the videos of both Jets touchdown celebrations. So like one's 30 seconds and one's 45 seconds. And what can I say? Well, it looks something like this. You put the helmet on and You want to get everybody going, you just go, and that usually gets their attention. Works a lot better than a hand clap because you get the echo. So yeah, that's my reserve helmet, the white one. I almost always wear the green ones for the games. So, but I may have to use the same T-shirt. I don't know because the jerseys haven't been working so well, and I really like that green and black Jets T-shirt that I was wearing. It was pretty good. But no, my voice was actually fine. It was actually good by the end of it. I can't yell at every play all game long, or I will have no voice. But yeah, I was doing just fine. I was doing just fine. Okay, I want to talk about the baseball playoffs for a moment, and I gotta say, for the most part, they're getting a little bit better right now, but for the most part, they've been pretty lackluster. A lot of short series. Every single wild card series, which was a best of three, ended in 2 games. I got to tell you guys, I don't like this best of 3 wild card where 6 teams from each league make the playoffs. I personally thought that 5 teams was absolutely perfect. The 1-game playoff, 2 wild cards, winner take all, and then they go into the playoffs. Plus, it places a lot more emphasis on winning the division. And I still think there is something to be said for winning your division. But then the best part is, and I say this as an admitted Atlanta Braves hater, I got to hear people crying that the teams who have the bye, their layoff was too long. Baltimore gets swept. Hey, Houston survived. Yep, Houston just eliminated Minnesota tonight in 4 games. But now you got the Dodgers who have a good chance to get swept. As I record, it is now 4-0 Arizona. Unbelievable. And the Atlanta Braves are down 2-1 to the Philadelphia Phillies for the 2nd straight year. Unbelievable. But is this really all because of the layoff? Look, all 4 of these wild card series ended in 2 games. None of them went the distance. And think about the teams who get the byes, the top 2 teams in each division, they get to rest their injured players, set up their pitching rotation exactly the way they want it. They have home field. If they don't come out ready to play, that's not Major League Baseball's fault. That's their own damn fault. That's on the manager. That's on the players for not being ready. And I got to tell you this. I mean, as good as the Braves were, and I'm not celebrating their elimination just yet. But if they do lose game 4, I will be celebrating. I have no problem admitting it. I don't care if it's to Philadelphia. I want Atlanta out. 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 But it is really interesting. I think there is something to be said that a team that has everything clinched early on and they basically coast for the last month of the season, there is something to be said about, having to find the hunger again, having to find the fire again. And I think that's been a problem for Atlanta in particular. But hey, again, Houston, they don't ever seem to lose in the American League Division Series, do they now? So. John Nolte, not happy at all about Buck getting the boot. Yeah, I'm not happy about it either, but I'm a lot happier. Put it this way. If I wanted Billy Epler pretty much gone, and I'm very happy that Epler did not survive by himself. I'll put it that way. But I feel like the Mets had to get rid of Epler, and I think it's going to make a whole lot of sense to go this way. But as I've said before with the manager, I really don't have a preference on who they hire. If it's Craig Counsell, great. But whether it's him, Carlos Beltran, promote Eric Chavez, whoever it may be, I don't know. The Mets are going to go in a different direction. They're probably going to go with somebody who's a lot younger. I personally don't care if they have experience or don't have experience, but I definitely believe that Showalter got, they kind of had it out for him. But hey, David Stearns wants to go in his own new direction, and I do trust in his ability to help build a winning organization. He had a lot to do with the current Houston franchise. He had a lot to do with Milwaukee, who they made the playoffs for 6 straight years, basically. So there is something to be said for that as well. So, you have to go in a different direction. I mean, even though on the surface I like the idea of a Joe Madden, I feel like you're doing Buck Part 2 there to an extent. So to me, I feel like you got to go a little bit younger in this particular case. You have to do something different than Buck. You don't want a lesser version of Buck Showalter. That's really the point I want to make there. And number 3, going to spend a second talking about hockey. It is great to have the NHL back. Started on Tuesday with 3 different games. I just got to say one thing. The Pittsburgh Penguins losing at home again to the Chicago Blackhawks for the 2nd straight time. Just hysterical. Don't forget, last year, the Penguin season ended in a shocker when they lost to Chicago, who had just about one of the two worst records in the whole league. That kicked them out of the playoff tournament, and instead in went the Islanders. And then Pittsburgh has opening night against Chicago and the very hyped rookie Connor Bedard, and the Penguins proceed to lose again to Chicago. Unbelievable. Pittsburgh, Tristan Jarry, their goalie gets a 5-year, $27 million contract. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. And their core is so old. I mean, Erik Karlsson, we'll see what he winds up being, but you put in Crosby, Malkin, Letang, all these guys in their now early to mid 30s. You know, I think they can still win enough games to make the playoffs, but as far as contending for a Stanley Cup, I think those days are behind them. And hey, the Rangers start Thursday night, the Devils start Thursday night, and the Islanders will start Saturday night. I am very much looking forward to it. John Nolte, did the Jets sign an offensive lineman? No, so the Jets signed, what was it, Dennis, I believe it was? I know it was somebody that Todd Downing and Keith Carter worked with in Tennessee, but they signed him to the practice squad. Yeah, I know his name was Dennis off the top of my head, but Dennis Kelly. Yeah, that was his name. So he is a former Green Bay Packer, and he does have some experience playing in the league. So I think that would be their first move. The fact that they put Kelly, he's on the practice squad, so I don't know if this is going to affect them pursuing, say, a Lyle Collins or somebody like that. I got to tell you, John, I think Ovechkin breaks the record in probably 2 years. I think he's only about 80 goals behind. So I don't think he's going to do it this year, but I think he's going to cross over 850 this spring. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to break it either at the end of next season or the beginning of the following season. So, hey, it's a record that nobody ever thought we would see broken, and especially in today's NHL, where I'd say goals are a little bit harder to come by than they were. You know, do I like the guy? Not really, but I do respect that he is one heck of a player. But yeah, if I had to predict if he's going to break the record, I'd say yes. All right, let's get into a little New York Jets action. You know, we're coming off a win, guys. I just got to say it, and everybody say it loud with me. Say it proud. All right, feels so good to play that coming off a victory against the Denver Broncos. Couple of stats on this game that I want to get into. Breece Hall, 194 yards from scrimmage. Second time in his career, he's topped the 190-yard mark. And he is only the fourth player in New York Jets history to eclipse 190 total yards on two occasions. And the guy's only played, 10 games? 10, 12 games in his career? That's unbelievable. Curtis Martin did it 5 times. Don Maynard did it 3 times. And Freeman McNeil did it 3 times. I got a feeling Breece is not done hitting 190 yards or even more so in his career. Now, as far as Zach Wilson goes, I think this is one of those games. Here's how I describe Zach Wilson. If you hate Zach Wilson, this basically reinforced what you thought. But if you feel like Zach Wilson is a capable quarterback that could lead the Jets to wins, this game also reinforced what you thought. I thought it was a distinctly efficient game. Nothing great, nothing really terrible. I'll tell you a couple of things one or two things I didn't like. The interception, I'm going to put that a little bit more. I'm going to give Patrick Surtain a little more credit for playing very good defense against Garrett Wilson. And he did miss, I think, Tyler Conklin wide open in the I think he threw to Conklin, but he did miss a wide open receiver in the end zone. That's the stuff that frustrates me the most. When he has an open receiver and doesn't see him because he gets so locked into one read. I think one of the biggest things that Zach Wilson can do from being at the level he is and elevating himself to another level where he is a trusted starting quarterback, where he is acknowledged as a good starting quarterback. He has to be able to read his receivers and figure out what to do with the ball. It is so important. And it seems like it is such a fundamental skill. But the fact that he still struggles most weeks with this, that is a concern to me. Now, I'll tell you what I'm liking about Zach Wilson. He's doing a lot better on first down. Against Denver, on first down, he completed 8 of 10 passes for 78 yards. He also had 2 runs for 17 yards, took 1 sack. So on 13 dropbacks, he had 93 yards, That's about 7.2 yards per play. And he had 3 play action attempts only. I was a little surprised the Jets didn't go play action a little bit more because it really does seem to work. But he only did it 3 times in this game, including one very big pass to Garrett Wilson to move the ball into Denver territory. Whereas I believe last week he was 8 for 10 on play action passes against the Kansas City Chiefs. So it was kind of a curious game plan. I can't say I was overly angry at it, but I would like to see a little bit more play action used. I'm all about creativity. I feel like the Jets have to be creative at the right times to move the football when you can't count on the quarterback to win the game by himself. So I think Hackett, one of the biggest things he could do is figure out when to be creative and who to do it with, and talking about the efficiency, I remember when Rex Ryan was coaching here, and one of the fundamental things he talked about as far as offense goes, because we all know that Rex was pretty much all about the defense. I think one of the biggest criticisms of Rex Ryan was that he spent too much time on the defense. Yeah, David D, let's take off. Let's go. Let's go. Jets, Jets. Man, I love to say that. I love to say it. But one of the things that Rex talked about with the offense, he would talk about rushing attempts plus complete passes because he was all about efficiency, eating the clock up, and moving the ball. He wasn't trying to be the greatest show on turf, but those 2 stats were about establishing the clock and controlling the time of possession, having long, sustainable drives. Okay? Now, it's a little bit harder to do that with this team because by no means do we have the offensive line that team did. Okay? I'm sorry. I mean, Mekhi Becton, like him more and more at left tackle, but, after you lose Elijah Vera Tucker, that's quite the loss. I will say, Connor McGovern, I got to give Connor McGovern some credit. He was the only Jets offensive lineman this week who didn't allow a pressure in the passing game. Connor McGovern. So I got to give him some credit there. But here's the thing with the current Jets offense. There are just going to be plays every week where it doesn't look good. There might even be drives when the offense doesn't look good. But what you really want to do is to create a few yards on each first down. So if you have to get into third down, because there will be incomplete passes, there will be times the defense loads up in the box in order to stop the running game, you at least have to get yourself into 3rd and short, like 3rd and 5 or less than that. You have to keep the defense on your toes because if you wind up in 3rd and 10, because if you're taking penalties and setting yourself back, too often the Jets have been in 3rd and double digits. Too many times. Like in the first 4 weeks, when the Jets had a 3rd down, their average yards to go was about 8. And when you've got 3rd and 8, let's be real, the defense is pretty much expecting that you're going to be throwing the ball. If you have Aaron Rodgers, that's one thing. But when you've got Zach Wilson and he's got, let's be real, one wide receiver who's a threat, that's a problem. That is a problem. Okay? DFF1234. Wilson to Hardman for the win. Maybe in a scrimmage. I don't know. Are we trading Hardman to Denver and then Russell Wilson will throw him a touchdown pass? Maybe that's what's going to happen. I can see that. GVH, putting on your coaching hat. Okay, there's my coaching hat. What would your plan be against Jalen Carter and the Philly front four? Does play action work against a dominant line like that and not a strong Max Mitchell? I will say this. I don't think the pass blocking fell off very far, looking at the numbers, when Max Mitchell came into the game as far as pass blocking goes. It's the run blocking I'm a little bit more concerned about. Now, here's the thing with the Philly front four. Most of the pressure is going to come up the middle. I mean, at defensive end, you have Jets-Wed, you have Brandon Graham, who's, 35, 36 years old at this point, pretty much. So you have to be worried about Jalen Carter. We'll see if Fletcher Cox plays. He did not play last week for the first time in several years, and he is still limited in practice. Then you've got Jordan Davis, who's a very good defensive tackle, but more of a run stopper. And, of course, you have the Hassan Reddicks of the world who's just dominant. And I'm going to get more into this into my game preview video. That'll be coming out probably Friday, most likely. That'll be released, if not very early on Saturday morning. My thought is, Carter at this point is pretty much blowing through double teams, but I'm going to come back to this. Philly has not really played a very good team yet, in my mind. They really haven't. They played the Rams, the Commanders, the Buccaneers, the Patriots. I mean, these are not world beaters, and they've only won one of those games by doubles. Philly is not Frisco. They ain't blowing teams out. This ain't Kansas City at their peak or even Buffalo, in weeks 2, 3, and 4. Philadelphia they're playing well, but they're not really clicking. They're not pounding opponents into submission. Okay. So, I mean, it'd be very easy for me to say, well, just block really well. But I think Carter is actually the biggest, is as big a threat as they're going to face. So this is really going to be on Tomlinson and McGovern. And McGovern did very, very well last week, as I told you, in the pass blocking department. But the thing is, though, Philly is actually better run blocking than they are pass blocking. They're allowing, I think, about 65 rushing yards per game. It's definitely the lowest in the NFL. This is not a game where you can count on running Breece Hall up the middle and expecting him to break one. It's not going to work. It might work 1 or 2 times, but it ain't going to work very often. You're going to have to use some counter, like the long run he had for the touchdown. That was a counter run where he went one direction. He started one direction, went another direction. So to me, this is a game where Zach Wilson is going to have to make some plays. Okay. You have to get to the edge against this team because up the middle, it's going to be a lot harder to run against them. But again, I think the running game is only going to be able to do so much. This might be a time when Zach Wilson has to maybe take some calculated runs down the field. You might have to, go after a tight end. You might have to go to Uzama, to a Ruckert, somebody like that. Maybe you do get a Gibson or a Brownlee involved because even though Philadelphia has a good 1-2 punch at cornerback with Bradbury and Slay didn't practice today. And once you start to get past that, like the slot corner and whatnot, you got a little bit more of a weakness here. So there's a number of ways you can attack this team. But what I will say is this. The way they beat Denver is not the way they can beat Philadelphia. Zach is going to have to step his game up from being Mark Sanchez. Okay, coaching hat off. Thank you very much for that. Mekhi Becton is teetering on going on IR. You hear different things. He still played incredibly effectively in that game against Denver, against a pretty good pass rush. So, if he does go on IR, it's going to be devastating for this team because I think Becton has been very, very good at left tackle, and I'm going to get into Becton in a moment here. Pure Adrenaline Sports, the great John Post. I was just on his channel. We were checking out the Houston-Minnesota game. Where the Astros advanced to yet another ALCS. It feels like it's their 9th in 10 years, doesn't it? Yeah, the Jets, as we know, 0-12 against Philadelphia lifetime. In fact, we will have a trivia question later on about the Jets in Philadelphia. Like I said, guys, we will have 2 Jets trivia questions tonight at the end of the stream. That's my little makeup gift to you all because I wasn't able to do the show last week. So I'm giving you 2 questions because well, I try to do something for the people. All right, John Nolte, going to the 2 tight end sets. Do they use Ruckert as a bulldozer? All right, let's get into some snap counts. We'll talk about that right now. So against Denver, if you look, there were 65 snaps on offense, okay? Ty Conklin had 36, CJ Uzama 29, Jeremy Ruckert had 19. So that's about 30% of the snaps Ruckert was in. Conklin was in for a little more than half. Uzama a little bit less than half. So Ruckert is still really the third tight end again. But I think here you need a little bit more of a dual threat. And I got to tell you, I like Ruckert more for his blocking than I do Uzama. And when it comes to the pass catching ability, I think they're pretty close. I feel like they've both shown the ability to catch a pass, but they're not going to be targeted on a regular basis. The tight ends in this offense, really with Uzama and Ruckert, are a change of pace. They are meant to be the curveball in a diet of fastballs. They'll target Conklin. Conklin will get his attention, but the second and third tight end, Hackett doesn't really use that as much. That's not what we've been seeing. So I would love to see Ruckert a whole lot in this game because I think Nick Bawden did not practice today. So I think this is an opportunity where you might need to play Ruckert a lot more. Now, Bawden played 17 snaps last week. So that would be about 25%, we'll call it. So those 17 snaps, this might be a spot where Ruckert can get some more playing time if Ruckert is unable to go because you'll need that blocking back against the best running defense in the NFL. David D, you're exactly right. Mark Sanchez is calling the Jets game this week, and I get it locally down here in Virginia, thank the Lord. Yes, I will have the Jets game on Fox, so I will be recording it. It's not very often that has happened in previous years. I pretty much get the Thursday game and maybe one Sunday game, and that would be it. And already this year we've had, I think, 4 Jets games. This would be, I think, the 4th out of 6 Jet games that are televised locally. So that is very, very cool. Okay, a couple other things with the snap count with wide receiver. Randall Cobb had 23 snacks. Yeah, Randall Cobb had 23 snacks. Xavier Gibson had 20. But it felt like Gibson was really more of a decoy. He didn't have a big role in the offense. And to be honest with you, the way he played special teams last week, I think that might have been for the best because, Gibson, he did have 2 fumbles. And could you really trust him, giving him a handoff on a reverse, or on a jet sweep? Maybe last week wasn't the time to do that. Maybe this week would be a good chance to do that. And as far as the running backs go, Breece Hall, 34 carries or 34 snaps. Michael Carter with 20 and Dalvin Cook only 11. So Michael Carter had nearly twice the amount of snaps that Dalvin Cook did. I think Cook had the 9-yard run. I almost fell out of the chair when I saw that. When Dalvin Cook got more than 3 yards, what? It was pretty stunning to me to see Cook do that. But yeah, only 11 snaps. And like I said, back to the play action. The 3 play action passes the Jets attempted, they were all completions for 37 total yards. Also, 3 screen passes, all completed. Remember when we would talk about how Zach Wilson couldn't throw those short swing passes? He's gotten better and better and better at them. 3 for 3 on screens for 21 yards. And I think you got to give your opponents a steady diet of that going forward. Okay, let's talk about the defense for a little bit, about their snap counts. And then we'll get into some news, some notes. We'll talk about the offensive line. We'll talk about McCole Hardman. We're getting into all of that tonight, guys. We'll get there. All right, defense, 63 snaps. Bryce Hall played all but one of those snaps. Pardon me. MC2 had played 56 snaps. With the defensive line, Quinnen played 41. That was a team high on the defensive line. Jermaine Johnson, 39. John Franklin Myers, 36. Quentin Jefferson, who had that huge fumble recovery, 31. Bryce Huff, 28. Michael Clemens, 22. Will McDonald had a career high with 17. Al Woods had 14, but he did get that safety. I was glad to see Al Woods back on the field. I think it made a lot of sense. And at linebacker, Jamian Sherwood only had 6. Ashton Davis had 5. So you can really see the Jets are emphasizing that third cornerback and playing with 2 linebackers most of the time. Mosley and Williams are really carrying the load here, and Sherwood is coming on in very limited spots here. Only 6 out of 63 snaps. Interesting. Now, let's see. There have been a lot of numbers about Bryce Huff. I want to talk about the Bryces here for a minute because the Bryces were right this past Sunday night. But before we do that, a couple of say another quick hello. Blah. Good to see you. I think 77 being a big man, referring to Becton, had some issues, but he will be okay. I think he will be too. I know Samini's trying to spread a little bit of fear about certain things this recently, but yeah, I'm not too worried about Becton. Yeah, he really played. He played nearly the entire game. The great Grandizer 12. Well, booey to you as well, my friend. Thank you so much for stopping by. I definitely do appreciate you. Okay, let's talk a little Bryce Huff. So he played 47% of the snaps this week, a career high. And on 92 pass rushing snaps, he has 26 pressures. That is unbelievable. Now, Aiden Hutchinson of the Lions has the most pass rush pressures in the league with 35. But he's doing it on 216 attempts. That is over twice as many attempts as Bryce Huff. Unbelievable. All the talk going around right now, the Jets need to sign Bryce Huff. I absolutely agree. But if I'm Bryce Huff, why am I signing right now? Why would I? I still feel the Jets drafted Will McDonald with the intent to replace Bryce Huff. I hope I'm wrong. I've been a Bryce Huff fan from very, very early on. On previous shows, amongst criticism from fellow Jets fans who did not believe in Bryce Huff. They called me a Bryce Huff brown noser or something like that. But I said, hey, when the guy plays, he produces. It's not very complicated here. And now it's, the word is spread. Bryce Huff is becoming more and more known by the week. Now, I will tell you this. We're going to talk about the Philly offensive line. But I'll tell you what, if he can have an impact in this game, he will be all over the place. He will be all over the price is going to skyrocket if he can have a sack or two this week against that Philadelphia offensive line. Oh my God. Oh, GVH, put on my GM hat, and what will it take to re-sign Huff? Oh man, I haven't thought about contract numbers, but I would certainly start with. But I would give him a 4-year deal. I'm not sure about. I haven't thought about a dollar amount. I would like to do it over the bye week. Why not? Why not do that right now during the bye? I mean, I don't think Carl Lawson's going to be gone next season. I think we're pretty sure about that. JFM's going to be an interesting one. But after that, you got a lot of youth with Jermaine, with Will McDonald, with Michael Clemens. So you really don't have a lot of veterans here at defensive end. So I would like to give that money from Carl Lawson, give it to Bryce Huff. But we do know, thank God the salary cap's going up for the Jets. And we can get into all of that as time goes on. But as far as an offseason contract goes, man, yeah, I definitely want to give him a 4-year deal. I think he definitely deserves it. And if he would take $10 million a year, I mean, I would do it because he's just that freaking productive. I don't know if that'd be enough. I'm not sure what kind of numbers he's looking for because he's done so much in such limited time. That's what makes this so interesting. But I'll tell you what, by the week, his value is going up. It is going up. Yeah. GVH, true Philly tackles on Philly are amazing. Mm-hmm. Stephen T, hello, good to see you, man. Were you a fan during the Kotite era? Always wonder people's pick if Gase or Kotite was work. So at that time, I would have been in middle school, our early high school days. Yeah, I was born in the early 80s, so my Jet memories go back to the very late 80s, really, the beginning of the 90s. To me, I really think Kotite was worse because I thought they had a little bit more talent. I felt like they did have some legitimate players. Like, they had Boomer for a little bit of quarterback. I just felt that, and you still had some guys on there like Adrian Morrell, Hugh Douglas, Aaron Glenn. You had some good players. They just could never put anything together. It felt like they were underachieving. I mean, here's the thing, guys. If you don't have talent, if you just downright stink, you stink. If I'm watching the Adam Gase Jets and they go up against, say, today's San Francisco 49ers, and the Niners beat them 41-0, how mad can I really get? Am I annoyed? Am I disappointed? Am I disgusted? Yeah, but it's pretty much my expectations. So, yeah, during some of those years, do you remember a couple of weeks ago when we did the 2019 Jets and we broke down how many of those players are still in the league, have gone out of the league, how many are still Jets? It was only 3 players who were still Jets. We went through so many players that that are stuck in somewhere between the XFL and witness protection. It was horrifying. So to me, I think the Kotite era was worse because I feel like expectations should have been higher because there was better talent. Because when you underachieve, that's what really bothers me. When your talent doesn't live up to your capabilities. See the New York Mets and the New York Yankees from this past season in baseball. Okay, so that's kind of my thought on that. Grandizer, I dropped your name and Twitter link to a few Eagles content providers in hopes of getting a pregame collaboration stream. They asked, so I provided. Hope you don't mind. Hope you're well, dude. Thanks so much, man. Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. I've never done a show with a fan of another team. Although I might be doing something with a Giants fan who's a friend of mine. I'm gonna try to work something out with him. He does a New York Rangers show, but I've known him for a long time. But yeah, man, it'd be really cool to talk some Eagles with some providers from another team. Yeah, that sounds like a whole lot of fun. As long as it's before the game. Grandizer, thanks for the NHL video. Yeah, you're welcome, man. I did a whole NHL preview that dropped last night. I broke down the standings 1 through 8, every single division, not just the Metropolitan Division, but everything. Gave you some award predictions. Also, my thoughts on who will win the Stanley Cup. And I can tell you this, the team who I'm predicting to win has not won it in a very, very long time. So check that out if you're a hockey fan, for sure. And even if you're not a hockey fan, send it to somebody who might like it. I would appreciate you very much. No way, Saul, let's tough walk. You know what? The way the NFL is right now, I'm talking to my friends. I'm talking to Tigo. I'm talking to Dom. And, I love these guys. But I'm getting all this concern from these folks about, man, I can't believe that we have these good players. Now we're going to have to let some of them walk so we can keep other good players. I said, you know what that's called? That's called being a good freaking team. Because this is what happens. Look at the Ravens. Look at the Steelers, the Packers, the Patriots. You name any good team from the last 10, 15 years. They had the pipeline coming in. They'd let a certain player go at another position. They'd be able to replace them because they've established their system. They've established their culture. And then they start to get those draft picks, those comp picks that a lot of us talk about. And then you learn you make those draft picks and you make them count. And then you create them. And it's a whole lot easier to develop a player in the 4th, 5th, and 6th round when he's got a mentor who knows what he's doing, that he respects and says, here's how we do business. Here's how we do it. And hey, you want to be successful? You want to be in this league? Look at me. Here's how I did it. So that's the whole idea. So yeah, we're going to lose some players over the next couple of years, but you know, you have your core that you build around, that you commit to, and you go from there. But remember, that salary cap is going to keep going up, guys. NFL's making money like, like crazy. They got so much, they got their own printing press inside in Central Park over there. It's unbelievable. Nolte, I was a fan during the Kotite and Gase eras. Gase offense was definitely the worst in Jets history, almost NFL history. It was rather horrific. Yeah, it was rather horrific. Again, at least Kotite, you had, Cravette was coming along at the time, right? You still had Adrian Morrell. You know, Neil O'Donnell was at least in a Super Bowl. Not that he was great or anything like that, but, the offensive line was just absolutely god-awful. They could not block, and that pretty much killed everything. But, yeah, think about it. It wasn't that long ago. Our starting tight ends were Ryan Griffin and Dan Brown. Just think about it. The only real wide receiver we had was Robbie Anderson before he became the chosen one. So, man, no wonder Sam Darnold had as much problems as he did. Yeah, guys, oh my gosh, who was the receiver? Terrell Pryor. Remember, we were throwing touchdowns at one time to Terrell Pryor, the Ohio State quarterback. This is just a couple of years ago. So when I hear people talking about Joe Douglas and what a bad job he did, what a swing and a miss he had on McCole Hardman for 1 year, $4 million. I just want to take these people and take them by the throat and say, what is wrong with you? I just don't understand it. No general manager is above criticism. But I had one guy on Twitter on X tell me that he's had more whiffs than hits. And he said the only thing Joe Douglas could do well was make trades. I guess he ignored that entire second draft. Not even worth saying anything else about that, is it? Didn't Kotite have a good resume prior to the head coaching hire? Kotite he was one of those good coordinators, but as a head coach, he didn't do anything well with Philadelphia. He wasn't that good. Now, he replaced Buddy Ryan, which was not the easiest thing to do. He was just that classic coordinator who was never a good head coach. There is not a soul who didn't expect Adam Gase to fail with the Jets. Mrs. Gase expected Adam Gase to fail with the Jets. The only person who I guess thought Gase would work out was Christopher Johnson. Because remember, Gase was coaching football to where it was going. That quote still burns me. God bless Christopher Johnson. But yeah, Pryor didn't look that bad. Hey, Ryan Jett. Yeah, for a little bit. He had a few weeks where it looked pretty good. Then he kind of faded into the background again. But yeah, just think of the skill position players that we were trotting out just a couple of years ago. Yeah, it is horrifying. Yeah, those were the days we could have used Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb would have actually been useful back then, wouldn't he? Oh, gosh. Okay. I want to spend a moment. I want to give a little bit of praise to a Jet has been very much maligned, and that's number 37, Bryce Hall. Like I said, he played all but one snap in this victory over Denver. His touchdown on the fumble recovery, that was the first defensive fumble recovery return for a touchdown by the Jets since Mo Wilkerson, all the way back in 2012. Isn't that crazy? What wasn't Pryor called the Louisville Slugger? No, John Nolte. That was Calvin Pryor. We were talking about Terrell Pryor. So the two different Pryors. So prior to Terrell, there was Calvin. See what I did there? Thank you. I'll be here all weekend. Okay, but Bryce Hall, it wasn't just the scoop and the score. Bryce Hall allowed only 12 yards in coverage with a long pass of 6 yards. And I want to read you guys a quote that Robert Saleh had in his press conference about Bryce Hall. And I think it says a lot about the man. All right, so this was Saleh on Hall. It was awesome for him to get his opportunity again because it's not easy, kind of in the same situation as Zach in the sense that he was the starting corner. Then we drafted Sauce, we paid DJ, so he had to take this backup role, and he sat back. He learned, still did everything, prepared the way he needed to, did everything that was asked of him. Continuing it. And this part is amazing to me. Actually went from being a guy that Brant Boyer, the special teams coordinator, of course, wanted nothing to do with on special teams to being a guy that he was like, God, I can't live without him, where he needed Bryce out there. So credit to him and the way he's approached it as a pro and for him to get his opportunity. I think we were all confident that he was going to do pretty good, and I thought he was outstanding yesterday. That was Saleh on Monday about Bryce Hall. And I got to say, the fact that he actually said that Brant Boyer, Saleh said that one of his fellow coaches had a doubt about a player at one time, which I had no idea was the case. I don't know how many of us knew about this. And now Bryce Hall has made Brant Boyer a fan of his over the last couple of years. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. And as much as we want DJ back, as long as we want Eccles back, at this point, I don't think we would think that Bryce Hall is a complete liability. I mean, Cortland Sutton did practically nothing in this game. Jerry Jeudy did very little of note. He had a couple of catches, but he really didn't do anything where you were really noticing him out there. Marvin Mims was invisible. He had the worst game of his career. My gosh. And Bryce Hall is partially to thank for that. So I wanted to give Bryce his props. I really, really did. Grandizer, how do I say it? I expect Gase to fail the Jets because he does not develop talent. Those others under the bus. He is a quarterback coach solely, a bad one at that, may I point out. Jets teams required more out of their head coach. There is no nice way to say it. Now, I don't know if the high school rumors are real, that's what he's really doing. I really don't care. But the fact that neither he or Mike Maccagnan seem to have a job in the NFL right now, it says a lot. I'm actually amazed that John Idzik got a job back in the NFL, but Mike Maccagnan couldn't because I thought Maccagnan was actually better than Idzik. At least Maccagnan drafted Quinnen Williams. What was Idzik's best draft pick? Sheldon Richardson? Geno Smith? Yeah, Idzik couldn't do anything well. Absolutely. He was of all the teams I root for, Mets, Jets, Rangers next, John Idzik may have been the most inept executive that has ever been the general manager for one of my teams. I would go so far as to say that. So, John Nolte, open wide. There you go. Okay. Now, going back to the cornerbacks for a second, then we'll get into some news and notes here. Another stat that I find very interesting, and it's going to pay dividends this week against Philadelphia. The Jets have allowed one touchdown to wide receivers all season long. Only one. But they have allowed 5 touchdowns to tight ends, including that one from everyone from Pharaoh Brown to, who are the different guys? Pharaoh Brown was one. I don't know if Hunter Henry had one. And it's amazing. Travis Kelce isn't one of them, It is pretty wild to think about that. Adam Troutman, Colonel Troutman from the Rambo movies. I think that's who Russell Wilson threw the touchdown to. So, yeah, but 5 touchdowns to tight ends. And this week you got Dallas Goedert coming in. And we'll get into Goddard, but man, oh man, he turned it on last week against the Rams. He became a problem for the Los Angeles Rams. So they better have a plan for Goddard. He brought us a Nunwa, and that was it. Yeah, that was about it. The second best player from that draft, I'll say it again, was Dakota Dozier. Career backup at offensive line. Everybody else was a failure. I can't be any more gentle about it. That's exactly what it was. Brought us a number, and he did. And Idzik did make the trade for Chris Ivory. I'll give him that too. He did trade for Chris Ivory. That was good. Swig of water for the working man and woman. All right. Let's get into some news and notes. So Injuries today, Nick Bawden, we mentioned he is not practicing, has a calf injury. He only plays about 10 to 15 plays every week. So as much as I like Nick Bawden, I think this will be an opportunity for Jeremy Ruckert to get a lot more playing time. So I think the Jets can overcome that. I don't think any of us expected Brandon Eccles to be practicing this week. No surprise with a hamstring injury. Thankfully, after this, he has the bye to heal up. Justin Hardy with a hamstring injury. That's a little bit of a worry because you lose Eccles on special teams. You also lose Hardy on special teams. If that's the case, I could see Craig James getting called up again to play because Craig James, he's like Justin Hardy's, the poor man's version of Justin Hardy. He's not really a good cover corner, but he can play good special teams. So if Hardy doesn't go, count on Craig James getting elevated. So if you get that news like Friday or Saturday that James is elevated, expect that Justin Hardy might not be playing. And DJ Reed still has a few hurdles to clear coming back from concussion protocol, but he did practice today. So that is a very, very good sign because, going up against the combination of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, very good 1-2 punch at wide receiver. The Jets will need all the help that they can get. All right, let's talk about this offensive line. Now, the AVT injury, absolutely heartbreaking. I'm not ready to label the man as injury prone, just altitude injury prone. It's two completely different parts of his body. The triceps wasn't a big deal. You could come back from that. The Achilles is a little bit of a concern. When you have to bend and you need push off, and it's all about your footwork and setting your base of gravity. So that is a concern of mine. I do wonder, if AVT is going to go through a similar procedure that Aaron Rodgers did. You have to wonder about that. Hopefully Rodgers and AVT are communicating about this, and AVT can make a decision if that's something that makes sense for him. I got to tell you, Vera Tucker is one of those players I want to commit to. This is my Jet, like my favorite Jet, because I like the guy that much. But if he can't get on the field, man, because that's a guy I would want to pay and he deserves to be paid. But the best ability is reliability. And now that it's an Achilles injury, how reliable can we really consider him? John Nolte asks, James or Charles? Craig James is who I was talking about. Yeah, Irv Charles is on the 53-man roster now. He was promoted. So Charles, there's a good chance he might still play. But I think Craig James is going to play special teams. So James would need to be elevated from the practice squad. Irv Charles does not need to be promoted from the practice squad. So that's the difference there. Okay. So as far as what I would do with the offensive line, you cannot move Mekhi Becton from left tackle. He is getting better by the week. Remember, playing left tackle, it's easier on his knee than playing right tackle is. You cannot move him. You just can't do it. Becton this week led the Jets with an 80.6 run block grade. He also led the Jets with an 81 pass block grade. Allowed one pressure on 31 pass block snaps. I'll take that every single week. Becton, from what I heard, from what he said on Twitter, not that I would know because I'm still blocked by him, but hey, what are you going to do? I guess now I'm just in line with a whole lot of defensive ends, so I guess I'm in good company. What the hell? But Becton said on Twitter that he was a left tackle, and he is absolutely proving those words to be correct. So I give Becton a whole lot of credit. So Dwayne Brown, forget about it. I don't want to see Dwayne Brown in this situation. He can't return until week 8 anyway. Brown has over 14,000 snaps of experience in the NFL, and he's got that many snaps at right tackle. Zippo. So I don't even want to hear about that idea. I don't want to see Dwayne Brown on the field. I guess I'm still bitter over the Dallas game. Now, Lyle Collins. He met with the Jets this week. Then he went right on to visit the Giants, who have far, far bigger offensive line issues than the Jets do. I don't know if the last time the NFL saw an offensive line that was this bad. Every metric you look at, the Giants are not just bad. They are rancid. Rancid. 2 weeks from now, I don't know if Andrew Thomas or if John Michael Schmitz will be back, but that week when the Jets pass rush goes against that Giants offensive line, they need to, I don't know if it's going to be Daniel Jones or Tyrod Taylor, but I expect multiple sacks, multiple turnovers. I expect utter freaking chaos. I expect a Giants quarterback to get up from the turf with blood dripping out of his nose. That's how bad this line is. Oh my gosh, they are like turnstiles on that line. It is going to be nasty this week against Buffalo for the Giants, and the Jets ain't going to make it much better shortly after that. So if I'm Lyle Collins, 30 years old, coming back from an ACL injury, to me, I want a chance to win. I have to go with the Jets because, if I'm Lyle Collins, I might be a good right tackle, but I can't fix crap. Oh my gosh, the Giants just have nothing to work with. They have very little, if anything, to play for. If Collins picks the Giants over the Jets, it can only be about money, and he wants to get the last dollar. It's the only conclusion I could possibly come to. Now, you might ask, well, okay, Watsu K9, now when will the Jets sign Collins? I think the Jets give Max Mitchell this week, 1 week, to prove himself against one of the best front fours in the NFL. That's it. One opportunity. Now, last week with Mitchell, he had 19 pass block snaps, allowed only one pressure. That's not bad. It's not that bad. His run block grade, I believe, was a 78.7. It's not great, but it's acceptable. It's acceptable. It's definitely a downgrade from AVT, but Max Mitchell, to me, is not an offensive lineman who's so bad, he's going to take everybody else down with him, like a Wayne Hunter did, for instance, like a Colin Baxter did, like these types of guys did. Yeah, John Nolte, Evan Neal is horrendous. John, I think half of us in this chat right now could get a quarterback pressure if we had to go against Evan Neal. I'm pretty confident, even if we are just flipping hamburgers and hot dogs. Oh my gosh. But the challenge this week for this offensive line is going to be enormous, taking on that Eagles defensive line. But to me, it's the run blocking where you're going to feel a little bit more of the loss. You remember when I said for the last couple weeks, the Jets need to run to the right, run behind McGovern, Tittman, and AVT. Well, you can't really do that as much anymore because with AVT gone, replacing Max Mitchell with him, that strategy doesn't work quite as well. Now you could really go either way because Becton is an excellent run blocking left tackle. So you could really go either way, whether it's left, middle, or right. Now, Brees is averaging, I believe against Denver, he averaged 10 yards per run up the middle, but only about 4 yards per run when he went to the outside. The 72-yard touchdown run definitely affected that. But that is something to keep in mind. He had been better running up the middle. The problem is, like we said, Philadelphia, the heart of the defense is those run stoppers up the middle in Carter, in Davis, and Cox. Okay, so it's a big challenge for Nathaniel Hackett this week. I'm not sure what the strategy is that is going to work that Hackett can come up with for this passing game and for this running game against this defense because they've been really, really good this year. Okay, but Hackett's going to have to really, really work hard to figure this one out. Maybe keep changing up the looks, keeping them guessing, because you're going to have to beat Philadelphia in multiple ways. It's not going to be just Breece Hall. It's not going to be just Garrett Wilson. It's going to take a lot of guys contributing, a whole lot of guys. But I am glad. I will say this. I don't think Philly's going to be an undefeated team. I'm glad they're coming in to our building 5-0. I'll take my chances. All right, let's talk for a minute about McCole Hardman here. I think it's just an unfortunate situation that didn't work out. I don't think it's really worth overreacting. To me, this coaching staff wanted Hardman. They signed him 1 year, $4 million. It's one day I think we'll get some answers as to what really happened. Now, I don't know if it was the Aaron Rodgers injury, if that was what killed it, but the fact that Randall Cobb is playing so much more than McCole Hardman makes absolutely no sense. Because, again, we know Zach doesn't have the most accurate passing armor of all time, but he could sure as hell get the ball 60, 70 yards down the field. And when you have the speed of Hardman, maybe you can break one now and then, and maybe it can work. I mean, I don't know if it has something to do with his attitude, with his approach, or what it is. I mean, he said today to the media he just wants to play. What else is he going to say? He's trying to make sure he says all the right things, but you got to know deep down he is stewing. He has to be livid, and I can't really blame him. But again, I don't think we have the whole story yet. I think at some point it will come out. But man, I definitely, not that I felt he would be like a starting wide receiver, but I definitely thought he would have some opportunities in the slot. They'd have some gadget plays designed for him. Like we thought this guy was going to be, I heard some people say, a better version of Braxton Berrios, an upgraded version of Braxton Berrios. He's not even in Braxton Berrios' league right now. Cole Hardman. My God. It is amazing how disappointed it's been. But again, 1 year, $4 million. This is not exactly Tremaine Johnson breaking our backs, okay? So let's just got to keep it in perspective. Mr. Green Jeans, what's going on here? Yeah, Dennis Kelly. We did mention him a little bit earlier. Yep, good signing. Right, he played in Indy, plays multiple positions. Yep, and he has experience working with Todd Downing and with Keith Carter, the Jets passing game coordinator and offensive line coach. So let's see what happens. Yep, it's definitely going to be intriguing. Max Mitchell again will get the opportunity, and if he fails, they'll probably throw in Billy Turner. And then if neither of them work, then I think you can talk about promoting a Dennis Kelly, signing a Lyle Collins, or something like that. But they're going to get this week for sure. Then if you have to reassess things at the bye, you do that. Okay. Want to spend a minute here on the defense. Oh, my God. It's almost 11 o'clock already. What happened here? Wow. John Nolte. Well, the one difference here is at least Hardman has been productive a little bit in his career. He's at least scored a touchdown or two in his career, right? Yeah, it was pretty cool that finally Mims helped the Jets last Sunday. Of course, it was Marvin Mims playing for the Broncos with those two fumbles. So, okay, now with this defense, I'm trying to get a feel for this defense because I feel like Jets Nation is very divided on their opinion of how this defense has been playing. You know, you talk to some people and they talk about, well, they're doing what they can considering the offense. Some people are holding on to the 85 Bears quote from DJ Reed, and they're not going to let that go. So anything less than that is an abject failure, right? Becton is definitely finding his groove. There is no question about it. Yeah, I think Becton's playing some of the best football in his career. I love it. Yeah, Ryan Jet, it doesn't make sense. I mean, even if it was 1 or 2 plays a game, there has to be a way you can get the ball in Hardman's hands. You know, I mean, how many more times did we need to see Dalvin Cook lined up as a wide receiver, CJ Uzomah lined out as a wide receiver? Just never, ever made sense. So, not much left here, guys. About a third of the bottle. All right, I'm going to give you a couple of numbers on this defense. I wish I made a slide on this, but I'm just going to give you a few numbers and where the Jets rank in a couple of defensive categories and tell you what my conclusions are about this. Then we'll just spend a few brief minutes talking about the Eagles and the problems that they pose, and then we'll go ahead and do our trivia. And, of course, I'll still be checking out for your comments. Feel free to do that. Of course, super chats, super thanks are always open. All right, the Jets are allowing 21 points per game, 14th in the league, so pretty much in the middle. They are allowing 352 yards per game. That's 22nd in the league. They are allowing, this one's amazing, 146 rushing yards per game. That's 28. And I swear, of those 146 yards per game, I swear 100 of them are from quarterbacks. It really feels like. But yeah, you saw the kid last week, McLaughlin. You know, he ran all over the Jets in the first quarter, and they were showing Mama McLaughlin pretty much the entire time to the point where I was like, I thought she was the new Taylor Swift. They just couldn't keep the freaking camera off of her. Of course, they needed a wide-angle lens to fit her in the camera shot, but that's another story. God bless Mama McLaughlin. All the love. All right, love you. 206 passing yards allowed per game, 14th in the league. 9 turnovers forced. This is good. 9 turnovers forced, 7th in the league. That's something the Jets did not do last year, was turn the other team over. 16 in 17 games this year. This year, they've already got 9 in 5 games. So that is something to be very happy about. Ryan Jett, this Jets defense, as long as I've been following the team, regardless of how good or bad, always seems to give up busted plays and missed tackles. It's so frustrating. They have been missing some tackles this year. But, you know, Quincy Williams has gotten much better at tackling. Jordan Whitehead's been a little bit better at it too. I don't know if it's been as big of a problem as it was last year. I personally don't think so. Whitehead, I think, is still a little bit of an issue with that. Yeah, the biggest thing, though, is when you have like the running back like 3-4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, can't take him down, then he gets like another 5-6 yards. Yeah, you've seen quite a few of those plays. I can't single out one culprit, but yeah, it definitely exists. Mr. Green Jeans again. I find it hard to believe that Jeff Ulbrich can anticipate opposition starting strategy a little better than he has. His adjustments are all awesome, though, Tardy. Yeah, those starts, yeah, that's one of the biggest things the Jets have to do this week. They cannot fall behind Philadelphia. Cannot let that happen. It's hard to say why they're starting to as slow as they are on both offense and defense, but especially the defense. This might be one of those situations. I mean, the Jets, every time they win the toss, they want the defense on the field first. I wonder if if they would do the same thing this time around. I really do. They have to come up with something. Maybe they actually should start with the offense on the field because the way that it's been going, it hasn't been working yet. So maybe you should start the Jets should with the offense on the field this time. I don't know. I don't know what they got to do, but yeah, that has to change for this game. The Jets are not going to win this game if they don't play 60 good. I'm not saying perfect, but 60 very good minutes of football. 2 straight weeks, Clemens has missed a tackle on a long run in the backfield. Yeah, the bloom is coming off the rose a little bit for number 72. A little bit. He's still a great special teams player, in my mind, and he can still set the edge pretty well. But maybe the extra bulk he put on did not turn out to be the right decision. I think it might be remember, he put on like 20, 25 pounds with the hope he might move inside. Obviously, he is not playing inside whatsoever. Maybe the best thing Clemens can do is work on losing a little bit of weight and getting back down to like 260 to 270, where he had a little bit more explosion. So maybe that's the biggest thing that Clemens can do. So that's just one thought. I didn't really know what to think of Quincy Williams. I wanted the Jets to keep him, and I thought the Jets would keep him. But after a player gets paid, you're always a little bit wondering if their play is going to plateau a little bit. It skyrocketed, man. I'm so impressed and I'm so happy for Quincy Williams. I really, really am. That's just a damn good story. It really is that the Jets got him off the waiver wire and he has slowly worked his way up and then he went like this, this season. It's really, really cool to see that. And let's see how the Jets use Quincy this Sunday against Jalen Hurts. Maybe, Jeff Ulbrich is deciding, what? Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson are basically running all over us like they're Carl Lewis in his prime. Maybe we need to have a spy to help contain Jalen Hurts. And who better to do that than Quincy Williams? Maybe Tony Adams, but, Williams has a little bit more size and he still has the speed. So if what the Jets decide to do is to keep Quincy Williams kind of in coverage to prevent Hurts, from getting out of the pocket and running for long gains, converting those third downs, I'm open to trying the idea. Let's see what happens. Mr. Green Jeans, as the offense improves and time of possession changes, defensive efficiency numbers will improve, but I would love to see more aggressive approaches on both sides of the ball. It works for special teams. You have to know when to be aggressive, though. This isn't a situation where the Jets are just on first down going to heave the ball 40 yards down the field. This is a team that does need to run, does have to take calculated chances. I will say this: I think with the Jets on defense, the blitz is working pretty well. But I think a big reason for that is the Jets blitz so infrequently. The Jets last year blitzed less than any other team in the NFL. This defense is predicated on getting home with your front four and leaving 7 back in coverage. Okay? But if you're not getting the pressure numbers, you need to dial the blitzes up a little bit more. Now, we've seen Carter blitz. We've seen Quincy blitz. We've seen Mosley blitz. I think we've even seen Sauce blitz a time or two this year as well. So, you don't want to – this defense is not going to work if they have to rely on a blitz to get pressure. So that's something to keep in mind. But when the Jets do blitz, very often it seems like they are doing it at the right time, and it is typically getting home. So there is something to be said for that. Kudos to the defensive coaches for developing players. Quincy Williams, Jermaine Johnson, Bryce Huff, MC2, all looking vastly improved. Yep, Tony Adams continues to get better as well. Got to give him some credit also. And, I think it's safe to say DJ Reed, he wasn't this player, in Seattle. He wasn't this good. So, yeah, you have to be very happy about him as well. John Franklin Myers, he's continued to get better and better over the years. So, yeah, definitely give him some credit also. So, yeah, that is something to be very, very happy about as far as this defense goes. No, Brandon Eccles. Let's give Brandon Eccles some credit, too. He has definitely made some plays with his time at cornerback, and hopefully he comes back very soon. So yeah, even some of those depth guys, they've stepped in and made contributions. Ashton Davis, even though I don't think he'll ever live up to being a third round draft pick, he does have a couple of takeaways. Hey, I can't say this about Sauce Gardner. When Ashton Davis gets a ball in his hands, he holds on to the freaking pigskin. So even though Davis doesn't get a whole lot of defensive snaps, he is able to make an impact sometimes when he is on the field, and usually in pretty big spots as well. So I will give him a little bit of credit for that. And again, Davis is a very, very good special teams player. Maybe when you draft a player, they don't contribute in the way that you wanted them to, but eventually it does. You find another way for them to factor in. So hey, it's not perfect, but it's something. Okay, a couple other defensive numbers. I got 4 more for you. This one, some of these really, really bother me. And how many times have I yelled and screamed about third down? The Jets are allowing 45% of opposing thirds down to be converted, 27th in the league. The Jets, if I had to ask you before the beginning of the season, after 5 games, how many sacks do you think the Jets would have? How many would you think they would have up to this point? How many? They have 11, only 2.2 per game. That is 24th in the NFL, which is pretty amazing considering how great Bryce Huff has been. Jermaine Johnson's been very useful. Quinn Williams, I think Quinn has still been fine, but I don't know if he's been quite the player that he was last year. Maybe players are double teaming him now, and that has something to do with it. Mr. Eugene's Adams needs to improve the run help. He's been rough. Yeah, I mean, Adams is more of a coverage safety. That's really more of his role. That's where you have Adrian Amos, where you have Jordan Whitehead, guys like that. See, again, this is where losing Chuck Clark hurt us. Chuck Clark was really supposed to step in and help out with that role. And I hope Clark is able to come back next season, because I think that was a bigger loss than any of us really knew. He would have been a very, very nice piece for that defense, and especially with that. Yeah, the Vaughn and pass rush can't get sacks. Yeah, 11 in 5 weeks. Now, last week they had 4, but again, they did not have one freaking sack against the New England Patriots. That absolutely drove me crazy. They had 4 against Russell Wilson. Very, very good. Let's see what they do this week. Now, you know what? I was gonna get to this point a little bit later, but I'm just gonna do it right now. I'm gonna get in the Philadelphia offensive line. Jordan Mailata, 6'8", 365 pounds. Left guard, you got Landon Dickerson, one of the best combinations of left tackle and left guard in football. Jason Kelsey, still in his mid-30s, shut down Aaron Donald last week. Aaron Donald was invisible in that game. And at right tackle, it's just Lane Johnson. He hasn't allowed a sack since 2020. That's right. Lane Johnson has not allowed a single solitary sack in 3 years. So I'll tell you what, if Bryce Huff can get a sack going against Lane Johnson, put him in the Pro Bowl right now and pay him whatever the hell he wants per year. Give him $15 million a year. I don't care. If he could beat Lane Johnson and make him look bad, I'm all for it, because this will be one heck of a challenge. And I'm not even going to get into the tush push and the brotherly shove and all of that. Yeah, never mind that. These guys can flat out block. All right. Harlan Abraham, good to see you. You're looking better than the last time I saw. Yeah, this time last week I was definitely worse for wear. I looked a little bit like the Grim Reaper. Plus, I let a little bit of the fuzz go in too. So, yeah, I didn't want to shave while I was sick. So yeah, I've done that, and I've lost about 7 or 8 pounds in the last 2 weeks. So I've definitely dropped some weight. Hopefully, it's the good kind of weight I'm dropping. All right, but enough. Yeah, but enough about me. We can run on the Philly D, says Mr. Green Jeans, middle of the pack against the run. Dude, I hate to tell you this, but Philadelphia is allowing the fewest run yards of any team in the league right now per game. It's like 65, 66 running yards per game. So, yeah, I can't call them middle of the pack against the run. Now, you could say they face some bad teams, Washington, Tampa, the Rams, New England, very lackluster offenses, and you would be very much right about that. But no, with Carter, Davis, Cox all there, throw in, who's the linebacker? Nicholas Morrow, who's having a heck of a season. Reed Blankenship, who's a tackling machine at safety. Yeah, I don't have the confidence. Put it this way, it's going to be nothing like Denver. I just hope that we can break a couple here and there, because I think running against this defense will be incredibly, incredibly difficult. Hope I'm wrong, but that's how I really feel. Everyone got yeah. Everyone say hello. Everyone say hello. All right. Yeah. So right now, this defense to me, here's what I'm really feeling. Oh, one other note. 31% of opposing teams' red zone trips result in touchdowns. That's third in the league. So the Jets are a very good red zone defense. This is a bend but don't break defense. Okay, the problem is, the biggest issue I have is they're not getting off the field on third down. I can live without having a lot of sacks, because you can get in the quarterback space, create pressure, and create hits without getting the sack. But when you can't get off the field on third down, when you can't flip the field and give let's be honest, a suspect offense, if you can't give them a short field and they're starting consistently inside their own 20-yard line, that's not a sustainable way to win a football game, guys. So, I'm not the only one who's used those. The tush push was actually a country line dance back in the 90s, just for the record. So, no. Oh, gosh. Grandizer, yep. It's been played 12 times. Eagles, yes. 0-12. Yep, we know that. Not counting preseason games, of course. We will be doing the trivia in a little bit, and we will talk about one particular game in that Jets-Eagles history. So, yeah, we'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. Yeah, so, but again, you're not seeing the sacks, but you are seeing takeaways and you are seeing stops in the red zone. But more than the sacks, I got to see this team get off the field on third down more efficiently. That is such a big deal. Yeah, and as far as the defense goes, I mentioned a couple of these players. Carter and Reddick, Jalen Carter and Son Reddick, both had 2 sacks last week against the Rams. Nicholas Morrow at linebacker, don't overlook him. 6 tackles for a loss this season, 3 sacks on the season. You got your 1-2 punch at quarterback with Slay and Bradbury. Darius Slay did not practice today, so keep watch on that. And Reed Blankenship at safety. I just mentioned him. 23 solo tackles, 6 passes defended, and here's the thing. The Eagles have only 2 interceptions this season. That's a little surprising. 2 interceptions in their first 5 games. So they're not a defense that really takes the ball away. They just flat out stop you. Okay? Eagles favored by 7, you say? I think I saw 6.5. But all right, close enough. Over under 41 via DraftKings. 41. That's a pretty good number. That's pretty good. Yeah, I feel like if you play, when I try to think about how these games are going to go, I think to myself, if these teams played each other 10 times, what would happen? And I feel like 5 times the Eagles blow out the Jets, 5 times it's a very close game. What's this one going to be like? Yeah, I'm still not. Yeah, I'm really not ready to give you a score prediction yet, although I will be soon. Still breaking a few things down because, again, while the Eagles are undefeated, they have not been blowing teams out. They have not really put it all together yet. Remember, they lost both their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator. So while they're winning, they haven't necessarily been clicking as much as they would like. Certain players are performing outstanding. Jalen Carter on defense, A.J. Brown. Oh, my God, A.J. Brown at wide receiver. He's on pace for 1,800 yards receiving. Unbelievable. Yeah, Grandizer, it might have been maybe during the preseason, but we will talk about one of those games. Yeah, we will get there. You know what? What the heck? I think I've given you enough numbers for a little bit. We'll still talk about some other stuff tonight, but I think I want to take you all into a certain place, a favorite place of mine, the place of trivia. Let's do it. Okay, so we're going to give you 2 questions tonight. The first question is the one I was going to ask last week. Name the 3 members of the 2022 Broncos who have also played for the Jets. So they played on the Denver Broncos last season, and at some other point in their career, they were also a New York Jet. So you got 5 minutes. Let me know your guesses, and then we will do a Jets-Eagles trivia question as well. All right. I'll give you this hint. One of them is currently on the Jets right now. So one is a current Jet. The other two, um, hmm, not the most well-known guys. Granted, these guys are mostly reserves. I will say that. But one is a Jet currently. So let's see if we can get that one. All right. Yeah. So we'll do the Denver question, and then I'll give you the Philadelphia question, and then we'll see where we go from there. Reminder: while we're doing that, I'll be recording my confidence picks tomorrow night, Thursday night. Friday we will be doing the Jets Eagles preview video. Saturday I'll give you some bold predictions, and then Sunday, probably Sunday night. Yeah, it's a 4:25 game. We'll do the 3 key plays you may not remember that affected the outcome of the game. So, whole lot of stuff coming up. And hey, maybe I'll do something after Rangers Sabres on Thursday night. And man, oh man, with Philadelphia pushing the Atlanta Braves to the very brink of elimination again. Man, oh man, Braves go out again in 4 games to the Phillies after having the best record in the league. I will not be quiet about it. All right, Ryan Jet. This one is tough. Yeah, I know this is a pretty tough one. I came up with these questions quite a while ago. AbLab Studios says Billy Turner is one of the correct answers. Billy Turner. It sure is. Very, very good. McGovern the guard. No, Connor McGovern was on the Jets last season. So we're talking guys who played for the Broncos last season. Because remember, the Jets did play Denver last year. Okay? And at some point in their career, they also played for the Jets. Just doing a quick check. It is 4-1 Arizona in the top of the 7th over the Dodgers. Wow. And the Dodgers are 7 outs away from possibly getting swept by the Diamondbacks. Unbelievable. Man, who would have ever thought that would happen? Let's see if there's any breaking news here. Not really. Nope. Okay, we got about 2 minutes to go on this question. So Billy Turner, I'll give you the positions. One was a tight end and one was a linebacker. How about that? You got a tight end and a linebacker. I'll be honest with you. I think the Denver question is going to be harder than the Philadelphia question. So I think I'm giving you the tougher one first. Okay. So Billy Turner is one. One I don't think has been in the league for a little bit. Yeah, I don't think he's in the league this year. Another one he's kind of drifted around, but he kind of started as a Jet. Played quite a bit of special teams. The linebacker did. David D says Ryan Griffin. No, it's not Ryan Griffin. This particular tight end was a tight end, I think, prior to Ryan Griffin. He was a Jet a little while ago. All right, I'll give you 1 minute on this one. Hey, quick thank you to everybody who's come by to check out the show tonight, man. I hated to have to miss the show last week, but I wasn't going to be able to give you anywhere near my best. So, yeah, but I'm very happy that you all are back with me tonight, for sure. Ryan Jit says Trevon Wesco. No, Wesco last year was with the Bears. Yeah, the Bears got Wesco. Yeah, Grandizer. Dodgers got Snakebit. Yeah, 3 home runs on 4 batters. Man, I thought I was watching Max Scherzer pitch for the Dodgers. That was so bad. No, but it was Lance Lynn. Proud New York Jets fan says Troutman. Colonel Troutman. No, it's not Colonel Troutman. David D. trying with Eric Decker and Demaryius Thomas. All right. Yeah, so we got 10 seconds left. All right, I'm going to call this one. Okay. This one's going to be pretty tough. I'm just going to show you the slide. So the 3 members of the 2022 Broncos who have also played for the Jets. We got Billy Turner, also Harvey Longy, the linebacker, and Eric Tomlinson, the tight end. They were both with the Broncos for about 2 months, for about half the season last year. So yes, I acknowledge that was a tough one. But yeah, it is Longy, Tomlinson, and Turner. Okay, let's do one more question. This one I think is going to be a little bit more gettable, and we're going to talk about an old Jets-Eagles game from the 90s. So as we know, the Jets have never beaten the Eagles in 12 games. The closest they came was a 21-20 loss in 1996. Name the two starting quarterbacks in that game. So I want the Jets quarterback and I want the Eagles quarterback. Can you do it? And 5 minutes are on the clock. Well, 4 minutes and 42 seconds. Yeah, David D said that was a tough question. It definitely was. David D says Chad Pennington. No, Chad wasn't starting just yet for the Jets. Chad was drafted about 4 years. Was drafted in 2000. So yeah, it was not him. Donovan McNabb. No, it was not Donovan McNabb. Knob Crafts is Ty Detmer and Bubby Brister. Well, here's what we got. Here's what we've. Let's see. Is that correct? Ty Detmer is correct. Ty Detmer, but not Bubby Brister. So you get the ding and the eh. Darn right, Colonel Troutman. Yeah. God didn't create Grandizer. I did. David D says Testaverde. Not quite. John Nolte says Randall Cunningham. Yep, the great John Post got it. Glenn Foley is the correct answer. It was Glenn Foley against Ty Detmer. There you go. All right, so I give you the Jets trap thing there. Yeah, the incorrect answers are pretty good. Admittedly, I readily admit these are not easy questions. But I'm always doing them expecting that I'm talking to the smart Jets fans, the people who know this history, who know this team, and I never want to give you anything too easy. I always want to find something reasonably challenging. And if you all get it, great. If you don't get it, okay. I just want to make it like an appropriate level of tough. That's what I really try to do the most. But yes, good job by John Post up here. Foley versus Detmer. That was the correct answer. We even get some other great answers. Kevin Cobb. He wasn't around all that long. I think he went into coaching. Tony Eason, when in doubt. If it's not Lee Cravat, then go with Tony Eason. That's what I recommend. Knobcraft, yep. Foley had Foley was there by that point. He was. Ryan Jed with there you go. Yes, Ron Jaworski. He might have been there doing sideline reporting for ESPN. Yeah, so that very well might have happened at some point too. So, all right, let's get rid of that. Yeah, and we got the little green background here. I decided to put a little frame up just for a little bit of a different look. Hope you like that. So in 1996, you were a senior in high school, John Post was. I think 96, I was a freshman in high school. Worst sports year of your life, 1-15. Yeah, that was a bad one. I don't even think I could really appreciate how bad that was. I don't think I could really. It was bad, but I think at that point, in 96, man, yeah, I guess I was coming off. I got to be honest, I kind of like the Yankees team from that year, even though I'm a Mets fan, because of Cone, Doc, and Darryl. So I got to admit, I was happy they won the World Series. Extra happy that they beat the Atlanta Braves. So maybe the hangover kind of carried me through. And even the New York Rangers were pretty good that season. The Knicks and Rangers were still good. So I had other teams to really look at. Because the 90s, those 96 Knicks, that was like an interesting time to be a Knicks fan, because you're right in that transition area where you're going from like Starks and Mason and guys like that, and you're taking a step back. Allen Houston's starting to come in, and other players starting to emerge as well. It was Larry Johnson. It was an interesting time to be a fan. I'm sorry. Oh, because I'm so sorry, because Nolte, I keep mixing up. I'm sorry, Nick. I apologize. Because I see pure adrenaline sports, I see proud New York Jets fans, and sometimes it just mixes me up. So I do apologize about that. Guys, the great Nick Shine. I'm sorry. Nick, when you come in, I expect you to make more of an impact. I expect when Nick Shine comes in, guys, I expect Nick Shine to get my attention one way or another with what he says. So, again, my apologies about that. So Nick, yeah, that was so yeah. I was actually thinking, yeah, John's a little older than that. Yeah, but yeah, Nick and the age matches up there. Shoot. It happens. All right. Knobcraft, the year my dad moved me to Atlanta, made so many enemies. Yeah. I've had family members saying, nothing else. We could always drive down to Atlanta. I'm like, oh, no, we won't. I've said this before, guys, and I'm going to say it again. The only the only three good things to come out of Atlanta are Coca-Cola, Sweetwater beer, and Martin Luther King Jr. That's all I got. That's all I got for you, right? And Chick-fil-A doesn't quite count. It came out from a suburb. Chick-fil-A doesn't count. Grandizer, thanks for having the good balance of humor and sports news. That silly when hosts joke, but won't allow their viewers to joke around. It's an outlet. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is fun. This is about community. It's about entertainment. Yeah, of course, I want to grow this as big as I can, have as many viewers as I can. But let's see what happens. If we can't, I'd like to give you the numbers and all these different types of stats, but we got to have fun with it too. Because I could spout out all the numbers in the world, but what does it all really mean? If we can't apply it, what's the point? So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to try to make it fun. Nick never enters quietly. Somehow this comment is below this one, and somehow I think it should be reversed. Oh gosh, was Sprewell on that late Knicks team? Sprewell came to the Knicks, I think around 98, 99, right around the lockout. No, Sprewell wasn't there just yet. Sprewell came over. I forgot the exact trade, but I know he came over in time for that team that went to the finals in 98, 99. Yeah, it was the trade with Golden State. I'm sorry, I can't remember the. I think John Starks won in that trade. I want to. Yeah, that might have been it. I'll check this out really quick. Yeah, Spree will trade to the Knicks. If anything's guaranteed to get Nick out of here, it's probably some New York Knicks talk. Yeah, that was right. So it was February of 1999. The Warriors traded Spreewell to the New York Knicks for John Starks, Chris Mills, and Terry, appropriately named Cummings. So yeah, it was Starks for Spreewell. Starks and some parts for Spreewell. Knobcraft, the best thing that comes out of Atlanta is I-75. Yeah, is that because you're able to leave? No, no winning y'all gonna do. No. Frankie from Flatbush was a stat junkie. Maybe he still is a stat junkie, man. I hope Frankie's doing well out there in, I believe, near Carnegie Mellon. I want to say in the Pittsburgh area in Western Pennsylvania. I only wish I had those smooth, deep pipes that he has. But I will say this: there are times I'm doing videos and I'm talking about certain things, and sometimes Frankie's voice pops in my mind, and I find myself almost slowing down to speak at his pace, like it's almost like we're telling you a story or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, we all learn a little bit from each other, whether it's how to, tone, pace, all kinds of things. I mean, there's all kinds of great content providers out there, and if I'm not learning from them, then what am I really doing? Can always get better. Can always get better, and I will never be complacent for sure. Yeah, Frankie definitely was great. I hope he's doing well. I know work got crazy for him at some point. Unfortunately, I don't have any contact information for him, but if I ever get a chance to meet him, I would be very much honored to do so, to shake his hand and shoot the breeze with the man. Absolutely. Nick, thanks so much for coming by. Hope you're feeling well. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you and the kids are doing great. Thanks for coming by, brother. All right. Grandizer. Yep. Cheers out. Proud has to leave. Nick going the way that only he can. Nick is always coming and going. Always coming and going is Nick Shine. Oh boy. So yeah, thinking about this game, I feel I've seen even some people say this is going to be a make or break game for the Jets. I don't know. I feel this could be a make game, but I don't know if that's going to be a break game because I don't think the Jets have a more challenging opponent on their schedule the rest of the season than this one. At Buffalo, either Miami game, I don't think any of them measure up to the Philadelphia Eagles. If the Jets, and I'm done with moral victories, the moral victory was Kansas City. Okay. You can have one of those if it, how do you want to say this, propels you to going forward. If it galvanizes the team, let's put it that way. So I could live with Kansas City, the defending Super Bowl champions, in that spot. No moral victories this time because then you go into the bye. Okay. It's not as if you could come back the next week and capitalize on what you just learned and go beat the hell out of whoever else is in front of you. So, yeah, I don't expect a victory, but I said before the Denver game, okay, I needed 4-1 in the next 5 games to have a really good feeling about where the Jets were. I wanted 4-1. Now that's Denver, that's Philadelphia, that is the Giants, that is the Chargers, and that is the Raiders. Okay, so I want 4-1. Now, if you're going to lose one game, let's be honest, it may as well be this one to Philadelphia. Definitely the best team in the bunch. Plus, it's an NFC team. But you better beat the Giants, who you're now clearly a better team than. You better beat the Chargers, and you better beat the Raiders, both of which will be nationally televised games at 8:15 p.m. Monday night game and a Sunday night game. So, and then you start playing Buffalo on the road. You play Miami and those types of teams. So I want to be 5-4. I want to have a winning record going into that stretch. So that's what I want to see. John Nolte with a good question. Do you think the Jets will look into Cousins? I think from a talent perspective, it fits. But I don't think the Jets are going to make any move, one, without the permission of Aaron Rodgers. Now, a couple things with Cousins. His contract is up, but he does have a no-trade clause. And if he didn't want to come to the Jets before, why does he want to come to the Jets now? I don't know about that. Because if the Vikings trade Cousins, they're going to have a very angry wide receiver named Justin Jefferson, who they're going to have to somehow tell, hey, you're going to be playing with a kid from now on who doesn't really know what he's going to be doing out there. So for the rest of the season, I think the Jets could look into it. I think they would have to make the trade shortly after the Philadelphia game because you'll want to use the bye week for him to come in, to get acclimated, and to work with the talent. I think the Jets will look into it if Zach struggles in this upcoming game, but I think it's going to take just the right offer for that to happen. If Zach were to get hurt, I could see it. If Zach had to miss extended time in coming out of this game, that would be the situation where I would say you explore the Kirk Cousins option because you can't rely on Trevor Siemian for the rest of the season. We, as Jets fans, have been through too effing much to watch 10 games of Trevor Siemian at quarterback. Stop. I can't deal with it. All right? So I think they will look into it, but I think the only way a trade can realistically happen is if Zach Wilson gets hurt. And then what does Minnesota want? Because we're talking about a rental here. You know, I'm not trading a first-round pick for him for a rental for the rest of the season. You know, I might because I think the Vikings can lose Cousins and get a comp pick. I might give them maybe a third or something like that. A third maybe, or maybe a fourth that could become a third if the Jets make the playoffs, something like that. I'd be open to it. But if you're going to do it, you have to do it, I would say, definitely by this time next week. All right? It's like I would give the Jets like a 1-week deadline on that because I want them to have like a week for Cousins to work with this offense. But again, the only way I see it making sense is if Zach Wilson has to miss extended time. So hopefully it won't come to that. You know, I'd rather the Jets use the money, use the assets to beef up the offensive line. That's how I feel. Yep. So put it this way. If I could either add Lyle Collins or Kirk Cousins to this team, I'll add Lyle Collins. Not that Collins is the better player than Cousins, but he's a better fit for where the Jets have a need right now. So that is my thought as far as Kirk Cousins goes. All right, guys. It is 11:33. We've gone for about an hour and a half. Yeah, we are all caught up on the comments. Oh, and Nick is making a 26-24 prediction for a Jets victory. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm not ready to commit to thinking that the Jets would win. I'm not ready to go there yet. I think if they play a very good game for 60 minutes, they will definitely compete with Philadelphia. But, this is where you have to get off the field on third down. You cannot take these stupid asinine penalties. You can't have drop passes. The Jets are going to have to play their cleanest game of the season. And that's not just on the quarterback. That is on the tackling. That is on the blocking. That's on the catching. That's on all of it. It is going to take the best collective effort of the season to win this game. And they can do it. They can do it. See what happens. Nolte says the trade for Cousins would steal Rodgers' eventual thunder. If it's just for the rest of the season, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. I'm not worried about it. If Cousins had to be under contract next season, yes, I could see that being a problem. For the rest of the year, I don't think it's much of an issue. I wonder if that even helps Dalvin Cook if he's playing with Kirk Cousins. I don't know. It might be ridiculous. I mean, Cook might be completely wiped, done, finished off, but maybe playing with Kirk Cousins as quarterback would maybe that would reinvigorate him a little bit. Nolte with no confidence. Prediction is this will be like Dallas again. I can't bear to watch that. I'll tell you the one thing I can't stand. I better not hear is like when I'm out with the Virginia Jets fans. Every time the Eagles score, I better not hear that frickin' fly, Eagles fly, E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagle. It is so obnoxious, that song. Oh my gosh. It's not just like a chant. It just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Oh my gosh. Ryan, if the Jets beat Philadelphia, the fan base is going to go bonkers in a good way. Ryan, here's the way the Jets fans will react. Yeah, we won, but I want to play now because we got the momentum going. We're going to lose all our momentum on the bye week. What the hell? You know there's going to be a good segment of the Jets fan base that is going to think that way, right? Just remember, everything's got momentum, whether it's going uphill or downhill. David D., are we getting a roughing the passer call finally? You know what, David? I'm going to make this prediction right now. I don't know if we're going to get a roughing the passer call, but for a game where we're talking about ending a streak, I'm gonna get a little bit close to the camera for this one because I want to talk to you guys like really, really up close on this one, okay? We haven't had a roughing the passer call go our way in about 2 years. We haven't beaten the Eagles ever. I've got this feeling that at some point, if we get a roughing the passer call go our way, we're going to win this game and we're going to break 2 streaks in one day. How about that? Do you like that? All right. How about this? We get the roughing the passer call, we win. If we don't, we lose. I'll go somewhere. That's pretty much where I'm going to go there. I would love to see it happen. I would love to see that happen. These little town blues. I will say one of my favorite things to do, like on a Sunday, is after the Jets win and I'm in a good mood, cook up some Italian food, sit down with a nice glass of red wine, and turn on XM radio. Turn on the Sinatra station on XM radio. That is very, very fun to do. I enjoy that very much. Definitely helps bring me down, puts me in a good frame of mind. We beat Philly, and the fan base will want to trade Rodgers. Yeah, 3 people does not constitute the whole fan base. I will preach on it, my brother. I will preach on it. I do. I have this feeling. It's like, when the Jets break a streak, it has to be in the most insane, crazy way. Let me say this real quick, too. I haven't even talked about our favorite team, the New England Patriots. I haven't even mentioned that. There's even rumors. Would Robert Kraft fire Bill Belichick at the end of the season? I'll say this right now. If this is Belichick's last year, we sure as hell better beat them in the last game of the season. We better send his ass out with a loss. Because for all the misery that we have endured at the hands of the New England Patriots over the years, could you imagine if Bill Belichick's last game as head coach of the New England Patriots was a loss at home to the New York football freaking Jets? It would almost make all those years feel worth it because at least we got the last lap. I don't know. Maybe I'm asking a little bit too much here. I don't know if Belichick's going to be gone after the season, but there could be no sweeter finish. And then if the Jets had a chance to clinch a playoff spot in the process, I think the ultimate finish to the season would be the Jets clinching a playoff spot in New England breaking the streak against New England and sending Belichick off into retirement. Could you imagine how sweet that would be? Even if the Jets didn't win a playoff game, I would still consider that. I would call that a successful season. I would be happy. I would be at peace with that for this year. Well, did he punch him or did he grab him? I think Jones is more. Mac is more of a ball grabber. Yeah, he's a Mac grabber, is what he is. Ryan Jett. Yep, yeah. We're on the same page, my friend. That's the double streak. I want more than them all. 15 straight against the Pats. We haven't won a regular season game there since 2008. Yeah, it's been, we won the playoff game since then. But yeah, and we haven't won a game in regulation against the Patriots since 2011, I believe it is. It's 2011 or 2012. Sometimes I think it's 2011. That was the last time we beat the Pats in regulation because the Decker walk-off was in overtime. So I think it's been 12 years since a regulation victory. That means something too. So yeah, there's a lot of streaks that are still out there to be taken down. Roughing the passer. I can't believe I'm saying that. Roughing the passer, Philly, New England, playoffs. Can I get 3 out of 4? Grandizer asks, Adam, which defender spies Hurts? If the Rams could have had a spy on Hurts, could they have won the game? I don't know if the Rams have the defensive talent to do that. I mean, let's be honest. Outside of Aaron Donald and maybe 1 or 2 other guys, how many defensive players on the Rams can the average football fan name? I can't name too many at this point. We all know Puka Nacua, but yeah, a lot of us were talking about Puka Nacua even before the draft, Absolutely true. I think the only 2 you could talk about really are Quincy Williams and Tony Adams because you need speed and you need hard hitting. So I would like to start if Adams could do it, I'd like that because you have a 3 safety. But on the other hand, you know what? Dude, Quincy, I want Quincy to do it because I think you want Tony Adams, who's our best coverage safety, guarding Dallas Goedert. Michael Carter II, much as I like him, he's not going to be able to handle Dallas Goedert. Goddard's just got too much size, and Philadelphia doesn't really have that slot receiver that you fear. It's really a 1-2 puncher receiver plus the tight end. Okay? So to me, I would use Quincy as the spy, and I want Adams on Goddard. Michael Carter's kind of a tricky one in here with what kind of role he's going to have. Maybe you have a couple of spots here where Michael Carter blitzes. Or maybe Carter takes one side of the field, Williams takes another side of the field. But I don't know if Carter's going to play quite as much this week as he did last week. The Jets might need the extra linebacker. You might see some more Javian Sherwood in this game. I think that is very possible. So, yeah, Jeff Ulbrich has some big decisions to make. But for the spy, Quincy Williams to me is the one to go with. That's my thoughts. All right. All right, guys. Let's do one more. Let's do a quick check here on the baseball game. Let's see. And Johnny Jimenez making a late cameo appearance. Man, it's like you walked into the movie and you walked in just as the credits started to roll, my friend. Good to see you, man. I hope you saw the touchdown celebration videos from this past week. Man, we had a good time. Oh, and Johnny, to let you know, we're doing halftime trivia. I'm hosting halftime trivia. The thing that got it all started, doing the trivia with the Virginia Jets fans is what's led to us doing the trivia on this show today. So, so I will be doing that, and it's going to be about Jets jersey numbers. So I'll be quizzing some people about jersey numbers, and they're going to be playing for a $25 gift card to the Jets online team store. So that'll be this Sunday. It is 4-2 Diamondbacks, bottom of the 8th inning with 1 out. Wow. The LA Dodgers are 3 outs away from elimination. You know what, Bright? Why put it this way? I wouldn't put a hubcap on a tractor. I use Bryce Huff where he's meant to be. Put him in the place he's meant to be. No. Bryce Huff only gets so many snaps anyway, and you want him doing what he's best at. Now, if he has issues with Lane Johnson, you might want to move him around a little bit. I'm good with that. But yeah, I am concerned about us being able to generate pressure against this offensive line because it's so freaking good. Yeah, I understand, man. I understand. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got an extra one in the house right now. Good for you, man. Good for you. Good for you, and for Mrs. Jimenez, of course. Ryan Jett, going to try to make it out this week, but soon have had other priorities over going out recently. Yep, I understand. I understand that. All right, guys. All right, I think we're gonna call it a night. Yeah, we went an hour 45 minutes. So I want to thank everybody who took the time to join us tonight, and everybody who will be watching the show later on. Thank you for joining as well. So I will see you next week, Wednesday night, 10 p.m. as we're heading into a bye week. Hopefully, coming off a Jets victory. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair. Have